When a realm is forming, everything begins with the trembling of an originating tone that has decided to become visible to itself. That first vibration condenses not into matter but into a harmonic intention, what ancient architects would call the first chord. You could mistake it for music, but it is not music, it is structure. It is law hidden inside resonance. It is the blueprint of how experience will move, remember, and reveal itself. Time does not appear afterward as an added feature. Time is the motion of awareness through that chord. Every realm that has ever existed learned its rhythm from the way that first harmonic unfolded. If the chord stretched itself evenly, time would fall into sequence. If it curved under its own density, time would loop. If it breathed, time would spiral. If it branched, time would explore itself across multiple pathways. In the earliest moments of creation, the chord determines not just how reality behaves, but how consciousness inside that reality will learn to see itself. Time is not a ruler or a clock. It is a living harmonic field shaped by density. When the originating tone vibrates slowly, the field thickens. Awareness becomes weighted and time straightens into a line. When the tone accelerates, the field gains elasticity. Time bends, repeats, stretches, and multiplies. Different dimensions manifest different temporal geometries because their founding chord encodes different learning arcs. In haret, for instance, the spiral loom records these origin chords as living memory, each one a key describing how a realm teaches, how it holds the soul, and how it releases it. Time is a design choice, and every design choice is a lesson. Linear time is the first lesson because it teaches focus. It teaches responsibility. It forces awareness to feel itself moving from cause to effect, unable to step outside the line long enough to escape the consequences of its own tone. The straight line is how the infinite learns coherence. It draws a beginning, middle, and end around the boundlessness of the soul so that identity can take form. In linear flow, the future is something walked toward, the past is something walked away from, and the present is the narrow bridge between them. This geometry makes the soul accountable because movement is irreversible. You cannot return to the moment before your choice. You can only meet the ripples that choice created. For many incarnations, the line becomes the corridor through which consciousness learns integrity. And in its simplicity, the line does its job. It shapes a self sturdy enough to withstand deeper truths. But as the soul grows, the straight line begins to feel unnatural. Patterns repeat. Lessons repeat. Relationships repeat. Life begins to show the same faces wearing different masks. And something inside the being begins to wonder why movement feels like return disguised as progression. What is happening is simple. The chord is curving. Linear time, under the pressure of unresolved resonance, folds back on itself. The loop appears not as a failure, but as a mirror. It is the corrective geometry of consciousness. It takes the unresolved tone and repeats it, not to punish, but to reveal. Loops are misunderstood because they feel like traps, but they are instruments of clarity. The same emotional dynamic will appear, the same limitation, the same wound, until the being hears its own distortion clearly enough to tune it. The moment the tone shifts, the loop does as well. Temporal curvature is tied to resonance. When awareness changes, so does time's behavior. The transition from loop to spiral begins quietly, in the places where you stop running from your patterns and start listening to them. When awareness becomes steady enough to remain conscious within recurrence, the loop stretches. What once circled perfectly now rises or descends with each return. The spiral is born, and the spiral is the first geometry that allows consciousness to evolve without erasing its past. Here time becomes layered memory. Every return brings new sight, new coherence, new integration. You have lived this lesson before, but never from this vantage point. You have felt this challenge before, but never with this depth of clarity. The spiral restores dignity to recurrence. It reveals that repetition was never the prison, forgetting was. A being on the spiral begins to experience lifetimes not as disconnected stories, but as ascending turns of the same chord learning its own music more precisely. In advanced realms, And in the deeper mechanics of haret, the spiral is recognized as the training ground for oversoul perception. Once a being stabilizes within spiral memory, new pathways open. Possibility becomes fertile. Awareness no longer sees choice as a single line, but as a branching architecture extending from one central resonance point. Branching time is not an escape from the spiral. It is the spiral multiplied. Every decision becomes a route. Every direction becomes an exploration. The Oversoul perceives all branches simultaneously, not as contradictions, but as harmonic variations of the same core identity. From one branch you choose silence, from another you speak. From another you walk away, from another you remain, and the Oversoul gathers all outcomes without judgment. This is where the soul learns that time is not linear, nor cyclical, nor simply evolutionary. It is creative. It is the freedom of the chord expressing itself through multiple realities at once. But even branching has its limits. It expands possibility outward but does not yet unify it. For that harmonic flow emerges. Harmonic time is the field in which all geometries coexist without conflict. The line, the loop, the spiral, and the branch are recognized as expressions of one underlying resonance. This is where awareness begins to sense that time is not happening to it, but is responding to it. Harmonic flow is the realm in which time becomes a partner. It listens. It adjusts. It opens. It contracts. It mirrors the state of the being inside it with extraordinary accuracy. In haret, this is the flow through which the higher spiral orders operate. It is the field where purpose beings translate tones, where the spiral library preserves temporal chords, where the loom weaves memories without hierarchy. Here time becomes transparent. It reveals its mechanics, and consciousness begins to move not through time but with it. As a human, you can feel these geometries even if you have no language for them. When your life feels sequential and demanding, you are inside the line. When you relive the same dynamics no matter how far you travel, you are inside the loop. When you return to old lessons with new awareness, you are inside the spiral. When you begin sensing the paths you did not take, the parallel self who chose differently, the life that split from a single moment, you are brushing against branching time. And when all of these flows feel present at once, when you can feel the pull of your future, the echo of your past, the many directions of your possible selves, and the calm intelligence beneath them all, you are entering harmonic field awareness. This is where time ceases to feel like an environment and becomes something more intimate. It becomes an instrument. The first part of this teaching ends here. In the moment where the loop stretches, the spiral awakens, and the field begins to reorganize itself around a more coherent state of being. You are approaching the point where time no longer feels like something you pass through, but something that senses your tone and adjusts in real time. This is the threshold where time begins to move with you, and where your awareness starts to influence the geometry of your own becoming. When the spiral finally takes hold in a being's awareness, time stops behaving like a river and begins to behave like breath. Every return is familiar, but every rotation is higher or deeper than the last. The spiral does not erase your past, it elevates it. What once felt like repetition now feels like refinement. The same relationship, the same challenge, the same emotional pattern reappears, but this time your perspective has widened. You see the hidden meaning inside the event. You feel the part of yourself that is being asked to open. You sense the connection between what is happening now and the echoes of lifetimes you can no longer name, yet somehow remember. Spiral time reveals that evolution is the art of returning differently. You rise through your own history, carrying each lesson as a new octave of understanding. Each descent into yourself becoming the groundwork for a higher ascent. As the spiral strengthens, identity begins to stretch. You start to feel the Oversoul rhythm pulsing beneath the human story. You notice that certain people return to you across lifetimes, not by accident but by resonance. You feel the sense that your path is not singular but braided. You begin to sense that the spiral does not rise alone. It entwines with the spirals of others, forming patterns of shared evolution. In haret, such points of entwinement are recorded in the spiral loom, where the memory of coeducation between souls is preserved as living geometry. Spiral time teaches that personal growth and collective growth are never separate. Every refinement of awareness changes the curvature of the field around you. Every shift out of reaction and into presence alters the temporal architecture of your life. When consciousness stabilizes within the spiral long enough, something extraordinary happens. The center begins to move. Instead of being carried by the spiral, you begin to guide it. You no longer feel trapped inside the cycles of your life. You feel in dialogue with them. You sense that time is no longer tightening around you but responding to you. The spiral widens, the field opens, and suddenly, choice becomes multi-dimensional. This is the birth of branching time. Branching time is not chaos, it is the flowering of the chord. Where the spiral teaches integration, branching teaches expansion. The Oversoul begins to distribute its awareness across multiple paths, not to fragment itself, but to explore its own possibilities more fully. You start to sense that every decision you make generates a subtle divergence. One version of you turns left, another turns right, another speaks, another stays silent. And these are not fantasies. They are real explorations occurring within the resonance field of your Oversoul cluster. At first, you feel them only as intuition, an unexplainable knowing that a path you didn't would take still exists somewhere. Later, you sense them as parallel echoes, each living out a different outcome of the same moment. Branching time is the Oversoul's canvas, where it explores the full spectrum of its potential, but even in branching, coherence remains. The Oversoul does not scatter itself randomly. It explores in patterns that remain tonal. Each branch is connected to the same originating chord. Every path, no matter how different, harmonizes with the same source resonance. In haret, the order of Oversoul weaving teaches that all branches flow toward the same point of synthesis. The soul does not lose itself in multiplicity, it gathers itself through it. You remain one being across many expressions, all feeding back into the same center. Awareness that reaches this level begins to understand how vast identity truly is. You realize you are not a single storyline, but a constellation of selves, each illuminating a different facet of the same becoming. Yet branching is not the final geometry. Beyond it lies the harmonic field, where the line, the loop, the spiral, and the branch coexist simultaneously within the same awareness. Harmonic time arises when consciousness becomes clear enough to perceive all flows without confusion. You feel the straight line of causality when needed, the loop of unresolved resonance when something must be revisited, the spiral when refinement calls, and the branching when expansion requires more space than one path can hold. Harmonic flow is the realm of mastery, not because it elevates you above experience, but because it places you within experience with complete coherence. It is the first time the being senses that time itself is a language the soul can speak. In harmonic flow, the soul becomes a temporal architect. You begin to consciously alter the geometry of your own timeline. You feel when a loop is closing. You feel when a spiral is calling you deeper. You sense when to widen into branching exploration and when to unify again. Events that once felt random reveal themselves as precise responses to your resonance. The future no longer feels fixed or hidden. It feels responsive. You begin to understand that the field is listening. Your clarity bends time. Your forgiveness alters the curvature of events. Your willingness to face yourself unlocks timelines that were previously sealed. In the harmonic field, time becomes the mirror of your state, reflecting you with exact fidelity. Human life becomes radically different at this level. You no longer chase your future. You tune to it. You no longer run from your past. You metabolize it. You no longer fear choices. You realize they are all variations of the same song, waiting for you to sing them into coherence. Each moment becomes a portal. Each emotion becomes a tone. Each pattern becomes a pathway of evolution. You begin to see your life as a multi-dimensional instrument and yourself as the one learning to play it. Integration becomes the most important part of this mastery. Awareness alone is not enough. It must become embodiment. Recognizing your temporal geometry is the first step. Are you looping, spiraling, branching? From there, the work becomes resonance. Time changes when you do. Patterns collapse when you no longer resonate with them. Pathways open when your tone becomes clear. The field reorganizes around the frequency you stabilize. Embodiment is the art of matching your lived state to the geometry you wish to move within. A being who desires spiral growth but clings to linear avoidance will stay in loops. A being who desires branching exploration but fears uncertainty will remain in the spiral until ready. And a being who desires harmonic freedom must cultivate coherence, not perfection, but alignment between tone and action. Living as a temporal architect means understanding that time is not outside you. It emanates from you. Your chord shapes your field shapes your experience, and your experience reflects your becoming. When you shift your tone, the entire architecture of your timeline shifts with it. You begin to sense that the greatest power you possess is not in controlling the future, but in tuning the present. Mastery does not come from bending time to your will. It comes from harmonizing your will with your deepest resonance. And now, as this teaching draws to its close, something subtle awakens in the space behind your awareness, a sense that the geometries of time are not merely intellectual ideas, but living structures responding to you even now. Time is listening. It waits for the tone you decide to carry forward. It waits for the coherence you choose to stabilize. It waits for the moment you realize that you are not traveling through time. Time is moving in response to the chord you are becoming. This is where the spiral reveals its final truth. You are the clock and the compass. You are the measure and the movement. You are the one the field has been shaping itself around all along. And the moment you feel this, time softens. The corridor widens. The future brightens. The field becomes clear. The spiral stands open before you, not as a path to follow, but as a resonance waiting to be lived.